Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our last parallel session. And let me introduce myself. My name is Indra Bandari, and I'm from Sanata Dharma University. And in this moment, I will be the moderator for this parallel session in room multimedia. Okay. Before we start this parallel session, please pay attention to these rules because there is an invited speaker here. The invited speaker will be delivered in 40 minutes, and then the following presentation will be delivered in 20 minutes. Okay. So we will start from the first speaker, our beloved invited speaker here, Miss Ratu Ilma Indra Putri from Universitas Sriwijaya, Palembang, Indonesia. Okay, Miss Ratu, the time is yours.
Thank you, Miss
Indra.
Okay. Good day or good afternoon, everybody. I would like to thanks for coming here. Before I start my presentation, I would like to show you the film or video clip of when the student activity using the sharing task. Okay, I would like to meet or mix between design research and lesson study for learning community. How is that? You can see this. This is my research for the training program for mathematics teachers. About the first about lesson study, and then about design research, and of course the learning theory about PMRI, Pendidikan Matematika Realistik Indonesia. What, why, and how. The first step, we need to know about lesson study first. Lesson study in the teacher in collaboration. I both in this word about the collaboration, and consists of our curriculum 2013. There are 4 C. One of them about collaboration. That's why lesson study mixed with this curriculum. Select topic and plan and prepare a lesson. Yesterday, Wanti said if we want to lesson plan, and then in step of lesson study, so we can connect it with design research in the one step, or first step is preparing. And then one teacher enact the research lesson and the other observe the student in the class. So when you use the lesson study in your classroom, in your community, so you need to choose one of your teacher or your team become a model, and then the other become an observer. And finally, teachers discuss their observation and we call it reflection. And in design research, we call it retrospective analysis. Okay, I will slowly. Discussion and the reflection on classroom practices and student learning further stimulate teachers' professional development. Of course, if you want to reflect your discussion in your classroom, after that you can you can realize what kind of your lesson plan going through in your classroom, right or wrong. But not we can complain with the teacher, but only for your student. Okay. Okay. And then lesson study movement for improving teaching practice. Math educators have been developed a lesson study community. Of course, we have MGMP, we have KKG in Indonesia. I don't know in the other country. And that community in one school, all of the teacher of mathematics, okay, he has to go to present in the other room. And then a group of teachers develop a lesson together, and ultimately one of them teaches the lesson while the other observe. This is according to Romero 2004. Teachers collaboratively plan a research lesson, observe this lesson live, collect data, and analyze them together to improve pupil learning. It's very, very good and very important. I think I need to use this another. Do you have? Or you change the birth rate? Sorry. I have a new one. Oh, different. Balikin lagi. Beda baterainya. Okay, after that, thank you. Okay, now I would like to identify first. Yeah. I hope it's working. Yeah. Now, developing theories of mathematics. According to Masami Isoda, said, if you want to design something, so you need to learning theory, not only to collect all of your book and your design something. That's the important things. If you want to design about the parameter and about the area, of course you need to learning theory. What kind of the theory of area? Is using the unit according to Strickland. If you want to design about fraction, learning theory said you have to use the measurement. That's the important thing. So Masami Isoda said that if you want to develop theories of mathematics education, still unusual. According to Masami, special in Japan. So they want to collaborate or mix with design research. Because design research, of course, if you want to design something, you need to use the learning theory. And math educators have been developing lesson study community. So all of this, that's why I use the system is lesson study for learning community and methodology of research. I use the design research. Okay, according to Kunographer Mayer 2007, explained that the process to develop the local theory of teaching through design research. If you want to develop something until to find the local instructional theory, so you can use design research. Design research can be characterized as a research approach in which the design of the educational material is interwoven with development of theory, according to Dolly van Erde. You can find this in Google, Dolly van Erde. Of course, you can find it. What kind of different of name of design research? Many people using the development research, according to Prudental 1998. And then design experiment. When Professor Toh Ting Lam using that word, design experiment, and COP 2003. And then design-based research. Wanti Wijaya used this word. And then educational design research from the Van den Akker using this word. And then now, in 2013, I studied about design research in session school in Spain. They give a commitment, so we can use name is design research. Design research consists of two types. One of validation studies and development studies. What kind of that? Validation studies, if you want to see the student thinking, so you need to develop hypothetical learning trajectory or HLT. And after that, you can find the local instructional theory. But the other side, if you want to use the development studies, so you can develop something like item, something like CD, learning compact this, and using the module, and then you can develop something, a book. You need to use the development studies. Okay? Okay. So, the aim of design research, of course, is known. This is instructional theory about learning process of the student. This is using the validation studies. And the second one, the educational material that are designed to support that learning. This is about the development studies. Okay? Next. Okay, the instructional theory. In Japan, using the open-ended or problem solving. And the Netherlands using the realistic mathematics education, and in Indonesia using the Pendidikan Matematika Realistik Indonesia, adapted of realistic mathematics education since 2002. Because of we use our context, Indonesian context. Okay. Okay. The purpose of this material is to describe the implementation of the training program uses a combination of lesson study and design research for mathematics teachers at the PMRI Pilot School in Palembang, Indonesia. Many pilot schools in Palembang, there are 22 schools, start from the basic TK into kindergarten, and then primary school until university. So in this part, I just show you in primary school and junior high school. There are four stages in lesson study. Of course, plan, do, and then see, and then redesign. This is a new one, redesign. Since maybe 30 years ago, they developed of lesson study, and they called lesson study for learning community. The first they called the lesson study only, and plan, do, see. Now they add one is redesign. And then basis of design research, preparation and design, conducting the design research, because number 2 there are 2 cycle, pilot experiment and teaching experiment. And then the third is conducting the retrospective analysis. Okay, subject of the study, mathematics teachers, PMR Pilot School in Palembang, and research method, design research using the validation studies and development studies. The state of implementation preparation state, and in the lesson study, using the socialization first about lesson study, and then plan stage. This is the same step of lesson study and design research. What kind of different of that things? In the design research, you need put to learning theory in your design. Okay. Design learning instrument, lesson plan, 10 HLT, and making prediction of student answer with mathematics teachers. Choose a model teachers in the teaching experiment. Okay, I will give you the video. Okay. Kenapa tidak menyambung? Sorry ya, di sini aja, di situ tidak menyambung. go back to this slide. Still continue, yeah? Okay, in preparation, of course, we need to discuss with the teacher what kind of the student answer, how they can think and solve the problem that you design. And then after that, they need to simulation in the small group, how to teach in the classroom. After that, they can see the researcher as become a model first, and then they follow the strategy. Okay, this is about preparation stage, and they need to find something like this lesson design about the sharing task and jumping task. But just now I discussed with Masami Isoda, sharing task and jumping task not in the community of mathematics. I learned about lesson study for learning community in Japan, in Tokyo. There are two tasks about sharing task and jumping task, but in mathematics community there are no sharing task and jumping task. That is for psychology or pedagogy and education. That's good, but we have to know what kind of sharing task and jumping task. Anyone know about sharing task and jumping task? There are no. Sharing task is about learning activity for your student, for all of the student can solve the problem. We can call it about low activity, okay, to understand the concept. After that, you can use the jumping task. What kind of jumping task? The characteristic of jumping task, if 50% of all your students in the classroom can solve the problem. If more than 50% or 30%, so your task is not jumping task. Okay, that is a characteristic. Okay, the state of design research, design experiment. There are two, pilot experiment and teaching experiment. What is that? Pilot experiment is in the development studies, we call it the small group. According to Tesmer or Zulkardi, small group we can use the 6 students to low activity, moderate activity, and the other is high. Ability, moderate, and high ability. Okay, and now and after pilot experiment, we can go to teaching experiment in your subject research. The state of lesson study is about do stage. Okay, plan, do, and see and redesign. Pilot experiment. Student, I can show you this slide. This one, like previous video, we can see your student confused to solve the problem. And now I put the red line here, line here. Still, student confused with the problem, and then they ask to the other one how to solve the problem. Please help me. In Indonesia, we can call tolong ajari aku. That's very hard to make behavior to our student because it's very shy, special for the boy. Boy don't want to say help to the girl. Is it right? Man, hello. Ada harga diri. They same for that. Okay, no problem. But now we can make it easy for them to. Okay, you can say something. Help me if you cannot solve the problem. You can see this slide, this one, and after that he can solve the problem. Okay, this the result, and I will give you the small group video. I hope it's work, ya. Hah, kenapa Pak? Ini kenapa connect dari sini? Di sini aja sudah, saya balik ke sini aja daripada nggak nyambung kan? Suka begini nih. Luar biasa. Ya, saya mau karena kita harus menuju ke video ya. For this, because 5 minutes more, it's okay. Okay, I go back to my slide, yeah. Okay. Okay, this is a pilot experiment, and then retrospective analysis. Every step we need to retrospective analysis to reflect, become you can compare between HLT, HLT, and actual learning trajectory in the classroom. Okay, it's a teaching experiment. After revision, the HLT researcher and team implementing in the classroom. We can see that, and this like a previous video. Yeah, we can see this activity and focus for one student, and then after they solve the problem, to ask to the other one to help, please help me, and then after that you can see the face, smile. Okay. Retrospective analysis, doing reflection of course, after teaching experiment, and then reflection, all of that activity. Okay, I hope it's work, but I don't know. Come on. Okay, I think no. The conclusion is true lesson study and design research can make students collaborate well, and then so that mathematics learning becomes meaningful and easy. Okay, thank you for your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Ms. Ratu, for the very insightful presentation. And this is the time for question and answer session. So, any question?
My name is Ayunda from Jakarta. My question is, I don't know, maybe I just want to tell you first. I often see or find that the researchers who use DR, design research, they ask for the teachers to become the teachers for their research. And then my question is, what should the DR be? Is it the same with what you just explained? Is it a combination of lesson study and design research, or what do you think?
Okay, you mean what is the design research? The design research?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's my
That's all?
question. Yes.
Thank you. Would you like to answer that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Ayunda. That's a good question. I will explain it like this. Lesson study is not methodology. Lesson study is not strategy, not method, not approach, but lesson study is a system. A system for anything. In Japan, we can use in your family, you can use in your organization, in your classroom, in your community. Because in Japan, there is no one say lesson study again, more, because they lesson study become soul in the soul of them. Okay, because from 100 years ago. Okay, but design research is methodology, method research method in your research, right? But if you want to combine between them, because of the step of lesson study, like similar with design research, but there are different things inside. Okay, like I said before, if the first step in lesson study is plan, but in lesson study only plan, the community, maybe you can ask your the other teacher, not only mathematics, and then you can ask the parent or from I don't know, dinas, what we call dinas, education department, yeah, and then we can make something like design of a lesson plan or anything. But in design research, of course, we need to use the learning theory. Okay. After that, the second stage, but in design research, we can use the small group first, and then teaching experiment. And retrospective in design research, we can use every step. After you can preparing, you can use retrospective. After design experiment, you can use retrospective, and then retrospective, all of that your design. But in lesson study on reflection, in the end of your activity in the classroom. Okay, and the focus of lesson study not for teacher, because we make or we design together. If you make a comment for the teacher, so the teacher will feel shy. So after that, she or he didn't want to teach anymore in the classroom. But the focus on design research, not for expression, but focus on mathematics. Okay, how student thinking, how they solve the problem that you design. Okay, that's the difference of lesson study and design research.
Any other question?
that one step of your research is predict the student answer.
Yes.
Is there is it steps of design research? And the second question is, when you do the collaborative research, is that just you and the teachers? And are there any problem of doing that collaboration? Because in there's experiences that when we ask teacher to do collaborative research, they feel
Shy.
not just
Or
shy,
no,
but
no time.
yeah, it's a tugas tambahan lagi.
You make me busy or
Yeah, right. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, the first question is in the first step in lesson study preparing or design research is preparing. We need to predict the student answer, right? Yeah. That's not step, but in the preparing, you prepare something like to analyze curriculum, and then to make a map of your concept or your topic in one semester, and then you decide what kind of the problem in your classroom, which one you want to design, and then make a draft first, and then to discuss with the teacher. As a researcher, we need to make a draft first. After that, we can combine with the teacher. Why? As my experience, if you just ask the teacher, please, where is your lesson plan? Where is your activity? Of course, he or she didn't want to give you. I don't know why. Because they collect the lesson plan or anything in the office of the head of the school for the accreditation. The same on you or no? Yeah, that's why we need to design draft first and then to discuss. Okay, the second one, do you have any problem when you ask the teacher as a model? Yes, of course. Anytime. But as my pilot school, so they already know me. If I come to that school and show my face, they will, okay, Bu Ratu, I will become your model. So you need to pendekatan,
Yes.
yeah, private approach maybe, and you need to go to the school every time, every week. Setor wajah. Do you any problem in your classroom? Can I help you? Anything, and maybe you can teach every time, every Saturday in that class. Okay, to give us a sample or anything. Okay. Any question? More? Oh.
Still 2 minutes left, and then any more question?
Last 2 minutes.
Last 2
Okay.
minutes.
Yeah.
Now it is the trend for the STEM education.
Yes. Yes.
Because my interest in the STEM, we established a STEM center. I want to know how to combine STEM and lesson study.
Wow.
This is what I want to do also. Thank you.
Yeah. Next, my next research focus on the STEM, but I call it not STEM because I focus on mathematics and science. I call it project-based learning. Yeah. Because we can, I designed one problem, obesitas. Yeah, obesitas, and then after that they need to design about the menu, the good menu for the health body. If you feel obesitas, sorry, so you can eat with this menu. That's project-based learning, and we focus on the science like biology, physics, and maths, of course. Using the fraction, using the I don't know, perbandingan, comparing, yeah, proportion, anything. That's my next project. Okay, I don't call that a STEM, but I use project-based learning using the 21st century skill. Because I want to use lesson study for learning community. that's it.
Thank you, Bu Ratu, for your presentation. Let us give applause for her.